I had originally intended this episode to cover my travels to Europe, pipe band tours and such in particular, but then I discovered that I just didn't have enough poetry. So this collection will cover poetry I've written to pander to faux royalty, plus poetry on tour, mostly in Scotland. Combining the two because when I started digging around, I discovered that I'd written about 50 postcards as poems while traveling rather than actual standalone poems. So we will start with my friendship with the good Count Damsky, who prefers to be referred to as the King of Lithuania. Shame on the day that started out so well, then rained on my parade. Hail to the King! I cried inside a deluge. Who could tell? Some fool in dancing shoes swung out to sing. O sodden crown, with all my pain laid bare and naked as new clothes or newly born, mine is a lonely throne, with none to care if ring is kissed or even purple worn. So ragged red the carpet to my door, so slightly bowed the heads, yet low each voice, unsteady feet and stairs. What is this for? The orb and sceptre of a lack of choice. An aimless coronation at the best, one never sought by one now caught their lord, and thorny is the laurel none would rest, presented with the kingdom of the board. Rejoice at your good fortune, all who may. I shall revenge an heir another day. The revolution came and went, but what have we to show? An empty throne, and all alone a king without a crown. Where is the pomp and ceremony? Where did tradition go? We took away the government and brought the culture down. Now who is first of equals if the people can't decide the left from right, the wrong from right, and those caught in between? Where is the head of state now at when all the spirits died? Is this the brave new democratic world no one had seen? Bring back the life in leading, so make livelier the lead. Hold something to look up to and look forward to as well. Give me one avaricious despot's cold caprice instead of all the grand incompetence and fat cats doomed to hell. Why do we need elections then without compassion's end? True courage is not needed for the monarchy defend. The prince calls us to arms again. We're gathered thus for war. Do you give your heart and soul to him, or ask what fighting's for? Will you take your helm and sword and shield and join his ranks still free, or wonder if his will might yield and let the soldiers be? Who held the peace for long fought years, to whom have you been sworn, if not the one who calls you here this brightly bloodlit morn? Fulfill your destiny, my friend, and take your sword to hand to take the enemy within. Yes, join the royal band. Our prince asks for support, and we stand tall to take his cause. 'Tis best we follow loyally his only fighting force. Hold strong, my prince, it won't be long before the war is won, and soon we'll sing a victory song where erstwhile there's been none. There was a chap who claimed to be the sole inheritor of the title Duke of Albany through various bits of his past that were all fake. However, the idea of such a Stuart returning to the throne of Scotland intrigued me somewhat. There is a king who hides too far away to hear the cries of his land's misery. The rampant rule usurped, the bright display of penance never native to the country. They say he was not born who now holds sway, and carry on their house in perpetuity between stone walls where older ghosts still lay in wait for the return of a true royalty. There is a king, and many can recall the name his fathers bore, their title, and the soft refrain 100,000 voices taunt with every game where only hope forlorn and other lies remain. There is a culture held in wait where once in shame, and so their mark is spreading in a bright clad stain against a dull and shapeless line that keeps the same illusion of lost times by means it can't sustain. There is a man afar who will be king to come, but till he stands he will be less the man to some. Now, if you like, we're back to the true purpose, which was pipe band tours. We managed to tack on to a tour planned by Singleton Pipe Band in the first case. In the second case, we were much more a part of the overall planning. So, we're off on a flight. I'm flying away on a wing and a prayer. I'm sure I am, 'cause the wing's just there, freezing its feathers off, gunmetal grey against fluffy white clouds as we're floating away. The steward just offered a small French Bardot. It's a Semillon, really, but what would he know? He's a Scouse who speaks Spanish. He might know his beer, but the video's gone dead and it's boring in here. Little window on sky and a child to the loo are all I can see now from a cattle class plus view. Put my feet up an inch as we fly a mile high. I could just reach a bit for a handful of sky. It's Gavin come back for the pretzels gone stale, and a rush for a bag as someone near me goes pale. Still the only screen now is the great blue divide where the sleepers, the dreamers, and businessmen hide. Come back here with a coffee, lukewarm, if you please. Is that steam from the pot? Gavin, you're such a tease. Only 20-odd hours of this left to bear. Get me drunk, wake me up when we're already there. I realise now that this is what I've missed, the silence of 1,000 birds at play, the taint of summer or spring's first decay, the way the pre-dawn light will gently play with thoughts and memories so fresh dew-kissed. I do not recognise this language senses use. I've lost the tongue, and all the voices in my head form one confused cacophony instead. But sitting here will be my watershed. I'll ask the frightened squirrels if they'll stay. A passing fox now sniffs the air with dread. Intruder, unbeliever, once both true. Destroyer was an accolade then too. But if this sinner can be born anew, immerse me here, anoint this chastened head. Green was my nature openly, in lieu of being green itself. Now understand I will become the earth, part of this land. As surely as the future's in my hand, as certain as the past that I now rue. I have awakened with this long grey dawn, with eyes wide innocent, a frightened fawn. What you forget, city cynicism astride, is the generousness of country folk, their wide open smiles, also their arms, shaped by years behind and under yoke, who give a hand at will, worn calloused palms at variance to all my urban pride. The lack of space compresses us, I fear. It makes us smaller, meaner, closed, not close. We lose perspective with no distance there, trapped in the jungle where no good thing grows. I need to breathe again that country air and outer starkness as I shed a tear. Surround me with a simple life, but keep it distant so its benefits I reap. It was certainly interesting being amongst people from a country town, many of whom were leaving Australia for the first time, had never had a passport before, and seeing the delight in adult eyes, and children too, of course. Edinburgh, bus trip, quick quip, drumstick, short kip, fish and chips, fast fists, taxi tips. I've been to Scotland too. Falkirk, Waterwheel, Stirling Hill, driving skills, no spills, castle meal, kilts and steel, piper's will. I've had a Scotland view. Mallock, trains go by, climbing high, ferry ride, Isle of Skye, play for pride, squeeze inside, midgie fly, that's what the Scottish do. Dolmunsey, Loch Ness, camera press, Inverness, military craziness, stung in full dress, speeches under duress, reaching for the true. Pipe Fest, 20p, sunny day, shady play, join the fray, water me, walk away, flags arrayed, follow me, form a Scottish queue. Tattoo, city view, castle queue, old and new, local brew, dram or two, lose a few, where'd they go? Lost in Scotland too. At Edinburgh our little journey ends, and all I take are memories and friends. At the end of this tour, I went across to Europe. This land of long grey scars, these fields of green fought over many times before, oft missed by speeding cars as I leave scenery behind forevermore. Strange trees reach out to me, but stay so far away beyond closed sheets of glass. At least they stretch as far as I can see. They give me shade and air, and then they let me pass. What soldiers fell to take these hills of cows and maize, these simple farmers' lots? Those men will never wake to plough, they're buried underneath in final resting plots. But leave this land behind, it's not the France I'd come so far away to see. The past is pushed from mind by cars on long grey scars, found short on memory. From a distance she is lovely, enchanting and endearing. A mystery, a history of her own I can discover if I can get beyond whatever disappointments I am fearing, approach her and embrace her, hoping I can be her lover. I want to feel her contours and her texture with my fingers. I want to run her hills and valleys naked in the rain. I want to taste all that she is, and while that feeling lingers, I will caress the places where I've loved her once again. No more the shy and distant love untouched by all she offers. I've held myself aloof too long, her joys but in a dream. And while the love is of the mind, the sleeping body suffers with pangs that daunt the serious explorer's mighty scheme. But now that I have come to be enfolded in your arms, to be entangled in desire, to feel your presence ever near, I feel the loss of what I dreamed, and all the passion needed calms when this reality reminds me that my questing's end is near. You are too personal up close, you are quite ordinary now. There is an air that is no different, and a taste that's no more sweet. Your voice has grown much coarser, or I'm used to it somehow. In conquering a lover's fears, I now look on defeat. Europa, when I saw you from a distance, you were mine, but only in my dream's light can you ever really shine. What are you thinking in your distant looking awayness? Caught in a corner of the eye, stare, preoccupied mind to mind. Reflections in the glass show cool reality in emptiness over landscape falling past we never seem to leave behind. And when we stop, there is an existential rendezvous with pleasantries and manners over stiffness on the verge between the inside dream time and reality found anew, where some blink in the light and some blindly follow an urge. The pilot smiles his linguistic disadvantage as we pass, all joined, release clumping, clotted, jolted, lurching off away, down gold-striped grey, harsh steps all looking for a patch of grass, then back, fed and watered, on the road that seems to fill each day. Join spirit into shadow, both bodiless, traverse the world again, no matter home or destination, purpose or intention met. By day and night, grey sky and bright, snow, wind and sun and rain, content to wait, and certain for direction if we're there yet. She is our queen, our heart, the two in one. We will not please the one without the both. Her pleasing pleases us. She is the sun to light the way, the warmth within our oath. Her conquering love takes prisoners at will, turned night defenders bowing at her feet, or else hands cupped before to take their fill of queenly countenance, their smiling sweet. But hark, a call to arms, to her defence! Who dares to threaten this green realm so pure, defiling queen and hearts? Who says he bends but, hidden to us all, is not so sure? O honour, let this company be won for queen and hearts, and let the cowards run. Our second tour of Scotland was supposedly a bit better organised because nearly half of us had already done it before. That didn't stop the fact that it was a complete shambles again, but it was a lot of fun. There's no question of that. Grey, with the odd light shining in the late night dusk as the summer rain cools by the Clyde. Haze and the odd fight sounding from the streetscape sliding through the shadows of an alleyway to hide. Clouds scudding over, a hug like a lover, parks abandoned, bridges thinning, streets still streaming, taxis, buses, thieves all working hard, while in another part of Glasgow someone's dreaming. Seagulls squeal and wing their way wherever seabirds go, while drunks lie prone and homeless look with envy. Wood windows shut the worst from some dishevelled husks, but stone seems to decay for an eternity. Sunday's Presbyterian migrations lapsed for Celtic versus Rangers, scuffling in every pub, as if the social fabric hasn't quite collapsed if you can kiss the enemy and leave them down. I met a man who took a camera to the place and tried to capture images of where he was. He said he knew the truth, but now he had no trace of evidence that this was real. It had no cause. Fade with the half-light, world shrinking to one light, in a narrow window with a view that once was wide. Chased like a bad dream, all life around seems to flow down the shallow, low tide on the Clyde. This one is for Emily, who at the time was very young. But these days, she's probably in her 20s, married with children. I don't know. There is nothing more bright than the laugh of a child, and nothing as light as the smile in her eyes, where the joker at play, all constrained, running wild, let her burst through a room and so share the surprise. Any child is an angel, a blessing on earth with her wings ever fragile, her eyes far away and her heart always lifted in wonder and mirth. Some would say it's their innocence. All that they know is an adult's protection and love in this place. But I know they are angels in truth, though they grow soon beyond wings of heaven, the more world they face. I would treasure each moment preceding their fall, and the rest silent mourn, though I'll still love them all. Oh, the seagulls of Glasgow, they cry and they cry, and it's 4 a.m. I wish they'd die, effing die. On my bunk in the Euro hostel, here I lie, and those effing birds fly past and cry. Out on Mull, where the houses are coloured like pain, and the midges will find you and sting to the brain, you can search for a dual carriageway all in vain, and the gulls on Iona still cry. In the castle of Carbisdale, line up for tea in the hostel where sculpture and art come for free, in a green-covered valley with birds in each tree, but it's daylight at 4, and they cry. At the bridge over Nethy, the Highlands they game, and the pipe bands and dancers and vendors all came, but the drunks in the street to me all sound the same, and the birds without boyfriends still cry. Now in Edinburgh streets have their drunks who can't sing, but from 3 floors above they can't hear anything. From the bed in my Euro hostel, I just cringe, and the seagulls of Edinburgh cry. That's a wrap for episode 11. Hopefully I'll do some more travelling later.